Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam and welcome back to Nolan Month. Covered everything from Following through The Prestige. If you'd like to check those videos out, they will be linked in the right hand corner. But for right now, it's time to talk about Christopher Nolan's most famous movie, and easily his most discussed, The Dark Knight. But the problem is that The Dark Knight has been talked about quite a bit. I think every reviewer on this platform has talked about The Dark Knight in some capacity. There's an online joke that says that every movie reviewer on YouTube has covered Citizen Kane, The Dark Knight, Jurassic Park, and Toy Story. Well, I've already covered Citizen Kane. Jurassic Park is an upcoming episode of the AFI project. I'm going to be talking about The Dark Knight now, and Toy Story is something that I reviewed for Toy Story 4. It is not a controversial statement to say that The Dark Knight is one of the best comic book movies of all time. I think it may be, objectively speaking, the best. So this left me at a bit of a quandary. I wanted to review all of Nolan's movies, do my normal review where I said that The Dark Knight is great, because you all know this. Hell, some of you watching have probably seen the movie too many times to mention. So I decided to do something a little different. Talk about 5 things that I thought were underrated about The Dark Knight. Now, before we go any further, I should say first and foremost that these moments are not better than the rest of the movie. The Dark Knight is stuffed to the gills with quality. There are just some parts that I do appreciate that no one really talks about. And so my goal with this video is to introduce people to some things about The Dark Knight that some people may have forgotten. These can be moments, things, call it whatever you want, but these are 5 things about The Dark Knight that I find underrated. Let's begin. Number 1, everything involving Mr. Lau. Something that's definitely underplayed in The Dark Knight is how affected the mob was by Batman's presence. In Batman Begins, you show that the mob is pretty much everywhere, but when Batman shows up, they all run scared. And so when Mr. Lau enters the picture and says, "Oh hey, I've acquired all of your assets and have moved them offshore," you can definitely see how hard the mob has been hit. And even the Joker acknowledges this when he says, "I know why you choose to have your little group therapy sessions in broad daylight. I know why you won't go out at night." The Batman. Also, bonus points to when Batman captures Mr. Lau and leaves the building with the plane still in the air. That was badass. Number 2, everything involving Harvey Dent. Everyone talks about Christian Bale as Batman. Everyone talks about Heath Ledger as the Joker. Nobody talks about Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent. And that is a tragedy. There's not much competition when it comes to on-screen Harvey Dents. There's Billy D. Williams in Tim Burton's '89 Batman, but he's pretty much an afterthought. And Tommy Lee Jones, an actor normally associated with very stern but likable roles, is trying to chew the scenery alongside Jim Carrey and failing miserably. I think Christopher Nolan gave us about as good a Harvey Dent as we'll probably ever get, and as good a Two-Face. The movie does a great job of showing that Harvey Dent is very good at his job. He stops a potential assassin by just straight up punching him in the face. Carbon fiber, .22 caliber, made in China. If you're gonna kill a public servant, Mr. Maroney, I recommend you buy American. And then he doesn't tolerate any of Jim Gordon's BS when he is like, "Yeah, that's very funny, Jim. I want to meet him." And then Gordon's like, "Well, the official procedure is that we arrest the Bat Vigilante." And Dent's like, "Da-da-da-da-da-da. I see the spotlight on top of MCU, so save it. I want to meet him." And he's not at all intimidated by Batman when Batman's on the roof with him and he's like, "If I can get him here, can you get him to talk?" Dent's like, "I'll get him to sing." And by the time he becomes, well, Two-Face, like, he's just a broken man. There's a great scene with just Hans Zimmer's incredible score when he finds out that Rachel is dead and his life is in tatters. He grabs his lucky coin. This lucky coin, actually. I got this when I got the Dark Knight trilogy box set. See that? That's Harvey Dent's coin with the 2 faces on it. When he grabs the coin and he turns it around to see the burnt part, he just absolutely loses it, and he's like just. And when Harvey Dent finally sees him in the hospital, he's like, I'm sorry, Harvey. And Harvey Dent just turns, and you see the half of the face, and he's just like, no, you're not. Not yet. Nolan did an amazing job at showing that Harvey Dent was incredibly good at his job, but was just corrupted as all things are in Gotham City. Number 3, Rachel's death. As you probably noticed, in Batman Begins, Rachel Dawes was played by Katie Holmes, but in The Dark Knight, she was played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I prefer the Gyllenhaal version. She has less of a role, but when she is on screen, it is much more important. Her death scene is the best because she is strapped up to a chair next to just a million drums of gasoline, and when Batman is trying to save Harvey Dent, and she realizes that she is going to die, and Harvey's like, Rachel! Like, it's okay, Harvey. It's okay. And then the room just explodes when she is about to say something profound. It's like, bang! It's the final knife into the heart of Harvey Dent, and Two-Face is born. Number 4, Joker blows up the hospital. Something that is often not talked about in Nolan's films is his subtle comedy. There's a lot of comedy in Nolan's films that is about as dry as a vodka martini, but when it is there, it is hysterically funny. There's a story about Joker blowing up the hospital in that the charges were delayed, and so when Heath Ledger pushes that button, it blows up a little bit, but then the charges are delayed, and so the Joker just looks at the explosion and he's just like, and then he pushes the button over and over and over again, and then the rest of the building finally explodes. Heath Ledger's improv in that is it's just funny as all get out, because he's just sitting there like, it was supposed to be more impressive than that, and he's just like pushing and pushing and pushing the button. I was half expecting him to blow into it like a Nintendo cartridge. I personally don't find hospitals blowing up that funny, really, but in the context of the movie, the setup to it is downright hysterical. And number 5, the boats. In one of the climactic scenes of the movie, there is a ferry boat with Gotham City citizens, and on another ferry boat is a bunch of prisoners from Arkham Asylum. The Joker puts 2 detonators on there that will blow up one of the boats, and he says over the intercom, oh, you might want to make your decision quickly on which boat to blow up, because the other side may not be so noble. This is a test of the Joker's theory that when the chips are down, these civilized people will eat each other. And he is almost proven right. When the prisoners get the detonators, there's some that are like, yeah, blow them up, who cares? But then there's this one prisoner who walks up casually to the warden and says, give it to me. Give it to me, and I'll do what you should have done. And they just give it to him. He walks over and just throws it out the window. Meanwhile, over at the civilians' boat, they're not as diplomatic. They're like, yeah, they're prisoners. They had their chance. So, yeah, Joker's theory was almost right. I say almost because it doesn't happen. I love this scene because everyone remembers the opening bank scene where Joker says, I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. And the interrogation scene, but the boats scene doesn't nearly get talked about as much, and I think it should. Honestly, what else could I say about The Dark Knight that hasn't been talked about over and over and over again? Simply put, it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's 2.5 hours long, and it just flies by. Every scene is so immaculately shot by Wally Pfister. Hans Zimmer's incredible score just pulsates throughout. Christian Bale gives one of his best performances. Aaron Eckhart, as I've just gushed, is excellent. Heath Ledger more than earned his Oscar. And just everyone is clicking on all cylinders. 12 years after this movie was released, it still holds up, and it is still just unbelievable. Well, that is all for me, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Next time on Nolan Month, we're going to be talking about my personal favorite Nolan movie. It is Inception. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you will be the first to know. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.